This is Lady Boule, and I hope you're having a great day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your thumbs up, for your comments, and thank you for sharing the videos. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. Today I'm talking about the Boule me. I've gotten so much pushback from talking about the Boule and Boule men, and people are talking about Boule. I don't really know what black people mean when they start screaming about the Boule and the Illuminati. I don't know what all this stuff means. What it comes down to mean, what it seems like, is that any black person that's not running around raggedy and begging and homeless or on social media begging for money, black men that are very successful and operate outside of the mainstream of black American life, they call them Boule. I really am not sure what black people mean when they say Boule, because they would suggest to you that these black people have a lot of power and a lot of influence over other black people, but they're using that influence to hurt black people. And it's absurd to me, because the people that I know who are actually in Sigma Pi Phi, which is the name of the Boule, they're ordinary people. They're doctors, lawyers, accountants, businessmen, preachers, activists. They are people, you might say, who have pulled themselves up by their bootstraps. And I think they get a bad name in the black community because they are successful and they are selective. To get in the Boule, you have to show excellence in some way. I don't know how they measure it. Somebody has to sponsor you and they have to know something about you. But you have to demonstrate excellence or success in some area. The Boule men that I know are upstanding men in the community. They're role models. Now, mind you, I'm talking about the black men that are in the Boule fraternity or brotherhood, Sigma Pi Phi. I'm not talking about the Boule that black people are talking about, who have all of this mysterious power that they don't use. To give you an idea of the kind of men that are in the Boule, in this picture are some prominent Boule members, past and present. Bottom left is John Johnson, founder and publisher of Ebony magazine. Above him is Earl Graves, founder and publisher of Black Enterprise magazine. Above him is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Baptist minister, activist, author, and martyr of the civil rights movement in the United States of America. Next, here in the center is Reverend Jesse Jackson, who sort of rode in on Dr. Martin Luther King's coattail. Reverend Jackson actually proved himself to be a clever opportunist. He has run for public office, he has had a television show, he has been a self-appointed spokesman for Black America. He was the director of Operation Breadbasket. This was an organization that Dr. Martin Luther King had formed. Their objective was to promote employment of black people by companies that were operating in the black community. And if they didn't hire the black people, they got a boycott. To the right of Jesse Jackson, to the right of Reverend Jackson, is Bill Cosby, Dr. Bill Cosby, who was, before his fall from grace, one of the most successful comedians and actors in Hollywood. And then to the right, bottom right, is A. Philip Randolph. A. Philip Randolph is the one that was basically the mastermind behind the March on Washington in 1963. And above him is Douglas Wilder, who is a former governor of Virginia. So these are the type of people that are in the Boule. Now, most of these people we have never heard anything about that would be negative. Now, somebody might have heard it, but if a black man in the United States is doing something crooked, he's going to be found out, and he's going to be just like Bill Cosby. He's going to end up in jail. In this picture, we have the late Reverend Calvin O. Butts, who was the senior pastor of Abyssinian Baptist Church in New York City, the largest black church in New York City, and he was also president of the State University College in Old Westbury. Now, these are some of the nationally known Boule members, but most of them are community men, superintendents of schools, doctors, lawyers, engineers, architects, accountants, like my husband, teachers, people like that. They're just regular people, and also outstanding businessmen who may not have gone to college, but who were very successful businessmen. So these are the men that make up the Boule. Whenever you see a picture of the Boule chapters, they're usually mature men in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and above. They're usually not very young because they usually select their members from the fraternities, but still they have to have accomplished something. So you can't just be a Kappa and get in the Boule. You have to be a Kappa who has accomplished something. Now I'm saying all of this to say these are the men in the black community that compete with other men of any race and they win. These are the men who most likely had to blaze their own trail because nobody made a path for them. So they got out there and made their own path. And most importantly, these men believe in having money. And they operate with money like men of any other community. So that's how come I like the Boule men. When I think of the Boule, I think of the young men that I went to undergraduate school at Alabama State. Most of us, many of us, were the first in our families to go to college. So we went down there. We were not going to embarrass ourselves. We were not going to embarrass our families. We were going to graduate. And we were going to graduate in something where we could get a job. We had on-campus jobs, and the business office paid our bills because we were on work study or some type of financial aid. But we were the kids who understood that this was our chance to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. And we stayed there and we graduated. So people, black men and women who start with these humble beginnings but go on and get advanced degrees, professional degrees, or go on to medical school or law school or start a business and become very successful. These are the people that make up the Boule. This is the foundation of the Boule. So I tried to figure out what these people mean by Boule because I have not been given a definite definition of what the Boule is, what the black Boule is. And I started hearing about the Illuminati. Or Jay-Z is in the Illuminati. This person is in the Illuminati. What are they doing except making horrible records? So I don't know. And I believe that a lot of black men who do this are black men who are jealous of other black men. I've always said that black men don't like each other. And I need to clarify that. Black men who are not successful usually do not like black men that are successful because the black men that are successful refute the argument that unsuccessful black men give that white supremacy or society or racism, somebody or something is holding them back and preventing them from being successful. So they look at the black men that are successful and they usually find a reason to criticize or demean them, or calling them a simp or a beta male. Oh, and then if they're married, then there's something wrong with their wife. It's always something wrong where they get the talking point, where they feel like they get the high ground over black men that are successful. Meanwhile, black men that are successful don't pay any attention to them. But I believe that's part of this Boule talk. But I've heard other black people that I respected talking about the Boule. And I want somebody to tell me what the Boule is, and I want them to tell me what it is without telling me to go watch a bunch of videos by Steve Coakley. I want you to tell me what it is based on what you know and what you understand. And then I can go and research it for myself. And I'm going to add this. When these hater type black men don't like successful black men or black men who go their own way and mind their own business, they treat them just like they do black women. They can't do anything right. For instance, Russell Wilson is very successful, but they don't want to just admit, well, I'm jealous of Russell Wilson. He's got a beautiful wife who's accomplished in her own right, and they have a beautiful family. They seem to be happy, but these haters can't stand to see them happy. And so they go after the wife. There's something wrong with Sierra. She was a single mother. They do the same thing with Dr. Boyce Watkins, who claims he's a millionaire, and I believe it. But they don't like his message because he doesn't beat up on women all day long. So now they find something wrong with his wife. Oh, she was a single mother. He's a simp. He's a beta male. They do stuff like that all the time. But at the core of it, to me, it seems like it's jealousy. So back to the Boule guys. I have explained what Boule men are to me. And that's why I say they're all right with me. Because these are the guys that are actually going to take care of their families. But Boule, for me, is a black man who may have pulled himself up by his bootstraps, or if he didn't, his father or grandfather did. Somebody had to pull themselves up out of poverty. You have to sacrifice and discipline yourself to do it. But if you're going to raise your life to the next level in the United States of America, where we all started out at the bottom, you have to sacrifice and you have to discipline yourself to do something that's going to produce an outcome that's going to make you successful. That's what a Boule man is to me. And that's why I say Boule men are all right with me. And just because I know how black people are, I have acknowledged that I am an elder in the black American community. So somebody's going to come on in and say, well, they're your age. I was a Boule woman when I was young. I've always had Boule men. And what I've noticed about these black men on social media is that on the one hand, they want to call people Pookas and Ray Rays. And then on the other hand, they want to call people Boule. So what's the in-between? I guess what is the acceptable in-between? You're not a Pook and a Ray Ray. You're not a Boule. What are you? Boule guys are black men who made a decision about how they were going to live their lives. And they decided they're not going to live their lives complaining about white supremacy. Because a lot of the so-called Boule guys, if you want to call them that, are making videos from Africa. If they're not living in Africa, they're going to Africa and setting up businesses and business associations and things like that. Those are what you call Boule guys. In closing, one of the best things about Boule men is that they compete. They compete with other men. They're not afraid to discipline themselves and sacrifice for what they want to achieve in life. That's the best thing about them. And that's one of the things about them that I really like. So I think that black women would do themselves a favor by checking out the Boule men, trying to find out where they are, because they are going to be the ones that are going to give you the life that you want. They're the ones that are going to provide, because they have the means for providing for you. And the rest of them, let them stay on social media and drag everybody else down. So I say, give me the Boule guy any day, because they are going to be the best men for me. That's what I like. I like a guy who has achieved something, who gets out there and works for himself and his family, and who has a vision for his life and a vision for his children's lives. So anyway, if anybody knows anything else about the Boule, let me know. And I don't believe that there are people pulling the strings and keeping black people back. Black people are not getting anywhere because they're not disciplined, and they don't want to they don't want to sacrifice, and they don't want to go through the drudgery of having to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. If you don't have any bootstraps, ask somebody to let you borrow theirs. And I'm not talking about people that are sick or disabled or in some way incapacitated. I'm talking about able-bodied people. Okay, thank you for listening. Let me know what you think about the video. Subscribe to the channel. Give me a thumbs up. Leave a comment. Share the video. And as always, have a great day.